All right, good morning and greetings for the day. Yeah, let's get started with the topic creating a classroom culture. As uh, the host mentioned, so my journey in education has been more than a decade, and what we see is in education or in the school, one is a very tangible aspect, which is your textbook, your learning objectives, your outcomes for the day, the school bags, the classroom. So these are some tangible things that is quite visible. These are quite evident. So that is one aspect of things, and the second aspect is the culture aspect, or you say that that is the vibe. Nowadays we call that good vibes only. So these are some of the intangible or abstract things that we see, and culture is very much part of that. Okay, so today we will be talking about creating a classroom culture where we will see that how we can bring in the non-tangible aspect, which is the culture, how we create an excellent culture using the tangible things. So that would be our objective that we would be focusing on in the next 20 minutes that we have. All right, so let's get into the classroom, or I would say that we would begin by asking a few questions to get more understanding of what we want to speak about or what we are intending to hear or understand. So, first question that comes in: what exactly is a classroom culture? What do we mean by classroom culture? We have seen culture in different demographics of the country. So, you have the eastern part of India, the South India, the North India, the Himalayas, right? And we know that, oh, we have variety of culture. But what exactly um, constitutes to the classroom culture, and what exactly is a culture? So these are some of the questions we would initially take on. So for understanding, let's empathize, okay, by having one scenario. So everybody listening, just imagine that you are on a road trip. Okay, and as we know, road trip means that you've been traveling from one city to another city, and you will be taking stops, a pit stop, or it could be a one day's night over. So you are on a journey, and you have some relatives, some friends that are there in the locality. So, for example, maybe your hometown or your native place, and you're just passing across, and you have some relatives, some old connections, or maybe friends that you have with you. Now, when you decide to take a stop, okay, so if you plan to stay overnight, on what basis do you select that which house I can go and comfortably stay there for a day or two, right? Now, this is where the cultural aspect would come into picture. Okay. And now soon we would relate this to the classroom culture. So just hold on to that. But before going into the classroom culture, we just want to have a very realistic case here where we could really envision that we are on a trip and we really need some rest, and we want to stop over to a place, and what place that would be, which relatives house or which friends I would really want to stay with. And so what are the parameters here? I'm sure that we all of us have some or the other things in mind. You would have somewhere envisioned, maybe in Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka or Mumbai, wherever that you have the friends and your relatives scattered, and if you want to stay there for 1 or 2 days, which house will you choose? So that is the first thing that I want you to just think about. And then we will look at some of the parameters that we consider while we are there to select or to choose from the list of things, list of houses that we have. And similarly, we would see that how would a child basically look at these things and want to go for like third B is my classroom. No, I wanted to be in 3A, but I'm forced to go for 3B or 3C, or it could be 7A or 7B, right? So these divisions, these classrooms, what exactly are those parameters? So here we will list down these parameters, and I'm sure you will be able to relate it with the journey that we just spoke about. Okay. So these are the 5 parameters. There could be more and less we can think about, but this is my kind of understanding that I would basically do that. And to some extent, you would agree with that. So first thing is the sense of belonging. First thing would come to my mind, how would somebody respond if for the very first time, if I give out a call and say that, oh, I'm in your city and I want to just stop by, what would be the reaction? What would be the sentences that you would hear for? Will they be nudge you by saying that we're not in the house, or there is some kind of a renovation happening, or there is some guest expected, or some kind of an event in the family? What would be that reaction? That first thing is where I would call, I would see that, will I be welcomed? That is the first aspect. As humans, we want, as we say, we are social beings. We love to be with people and with the community. So first thing is what we all look for is sense of belonging. Will I be welcomed? So that is the first parameter. I think we all would agree with that. Next would be the physical and mental safety. So safety is one aspect that we look for. So even if we are booking a house in some of the hotel or homestay or a OYO room or whatever it could be, we look forward for a mental, for a physical safety aspect as well, right? Same thing goes with the classroom as well. When a child comes in, right, where they, if they really feel that they can be themselves, you know they don't have to behave in a certain way or act uh, to just be there, to belong to a place. If I have to modify myself just to fit in, I will not be able to do that for a very long time. Okay, and that's really stressful because you are doing an acting. You are just not being natural, but you are just trying to behave in certain way, and there you don't feel mentally so safe and secure, and physically also is something that we would look into that aspect. But the second thing, the first thing is a sense of belonging. How welcoming is that house or that classroom would be. Secondly, as we said, physical and mental safety. So mentally, yes, can I be myself, or I have to act out or behave differently? That is one aspect. Physical safety is one thing that we say that, oh, it's quite a good place, and there is, like, there is an earthquake safety, there is a protocol in place, firewall safety. So there is so many of these aspects that, the proper water, proper hygiene, and those aspects comes into the picture when we talk about the physical aspects or tangible things, as we spoke about. So overall environment, I should be feeling safe as a being, as a human being. Okay, then we go on to the next aspect, which is the procedures. Okay, so every house you see, in our own houses, there are some unsaid rules. So I don't see any house where we go and there is a set of do's and don'ts which are there listed on the walls. It's never the case, right? But there are some procedures. Some houses, they don't appreciate you, going wearing the socks inside and moving around in the area, or going to the kitchen wearing your socks. Some houses are apprehensive about it. Some of them, it's a culture that, you walk with your footwears inside and nobody minds it. So there are very different cultural aspects to it. So where we travel, I think with my educational journey, I have been to almost all the states of India or the country, and do some workshops with the teachers. And you see that there are many cultural aspects. Some teachers or some workshops are very welcoming, wherein, everybody is so pumped up and they just want to buy in what you say. And some of the areas are very reluctant, or they would say that, oh, you have said this, but we would have to check. So that kind of a cultural aspect you see with the school environments, also with the local culture aspects. Some are very friendly, some of the cities very open up very quickly to the strangers, or some of them will be very reserved. So these are some of the aspects, but there are some of the protocols depending on the area, depending on the people that we have. So there are some procedures in place. For example, Mumbai, we are very strict with the traffic rules. The helmet, the seat belts, and that how it should be if you look at the protocols. But some cities are pretty relaxed on those aspects. But so you see, there are some different changes. Although we are part of one nation, But then there are these aspects, the rules, the routines that people follow. So I was just told that in northeast, people wake up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Their lunch time is at 10:30, and they have their dinner probably by 5 or 6 latest, I mean lately, in the evening. And that's the kind of routine that they have set. Now when we come to the cities, 24/7 everybody's awake. So then there are different, uh, different routine or different set of rules that you adapt while you are living there. So similarly, if when you are choosing that, oh, there are friend A versus friend B or a relative C in the area, where will I be more comfortable with? Where I can stay and I know the rules. So this is another very important aspect, is to know the routine, to know the rules, right? So that I can adopt, and also how much flexibility does it have. Okay, so these are some of the aspects we would take into consideration while we talk about the classroom culture. Coming to the next one is the affection. Now, this is again a little abstract term or an abstract thing that we are looking at, which is the amount of time that you wish to spend with someone. And that is how you might define affection. There are quite different words in different languages. Vatsalya is very close to the term affection. In Sanskrit or Hindi, you would say. So affectionate. So I mean, some people you would just be there just to, kind of safeguard your one night over stay in a hotel, or to just pay that amount. But somewhere you really feel that, oh, you really need to spend the time there. There will be quality discussion. There will be old memories to be talked about, and there so much that you can really talk and discuss and have fun. So that is one aspect that you look at, is the affection. Where you wish to spend more time. Okay, so just doing a recap, sense of belonging. Okay, where you will be welcomed and you feel that you're part of that particular house, or that particular community, or a relative, or a friend. Then you have physical and mental space, that allows you to be yourself. Procedures, so the set of rules or the process that's there in that particular house, and you kind of align with it. Then you wish to spend some quality time, and you won't mind staying for a day or two more to extend things up, because that's the belongingness, that's the affection that you have with a particular house, or particular set of people. And then finally is the memories that you carry with you. Okay, and this together, we can say that it is kind of a classroom, or kind of a culture that you would really pick and choose. So if I were to decide between three friends whom I want to spend my Diwali vacation or a trip with them, some of these things I can really look at as a checklist. Okay, is there a sense of belonging? How welcoming that idea would go in? How safe we would feel? What are the process and protocols that person individuals have? Is it a late lazy setback attitude, or it's like overwhelmingly joyous, or very attentive, or some people are very punctual, or very much into the work. So will that be a space? So we would calculate all these aspects, and also the affection and the memories that we want to take back. So we all kind of go into the future, look at the future, live there for a time being, and evaluate things. And that is what children would also do. And so let's go back to the classroom with these five set of things that we just discussed about. All right, so this is like, I mean, just a classroom. And so let's go in the classroom now. And with these five things, we would just try to figure out what are the things that we can really do to build a positive and excellent classroom culture where children love to come. Okay, so let's get into the classroom now, and again relook at those five parameters. So I mean, if there is any kind of a view that you want to make about this classroom, Is the classroom looking very lively to you? It's colorful. You have a lot of peripheral learning. You have got stickers. You have got welcome wall. You have got the class teacher's name listed there. So it is not just the miss or ma'am, that you have the tall ma'am or the short one or the beautiful one or the one who wears this. So it is, the first name, or at least the name of the teacher that the children needs to be aware about. So then the more kind of connect that you can have with the children, the more they know you, the more you know them, and that's the connection that things start with. So I mean, another reason to take up this topic in the vacation, I'm sure that we all are busy somewhere during the vacations, but I'm sure some of you would be listening to this, maybe this video, watching the video or listening to the podcast, or in some of the other ways, if we are able to communicate. And I think that's the objective of school reformers, is to kind of culminate this knowledge, curate it, and deliver it or give it to the society, or in this particular thing, the educators out there. So this is something that we can take back when we are in the classroom. And now, if the new sessions or the new academic sessions especially begins in the month of June in most of the cities in India, or wherever in part of the world that you belong to. So before we get started, before, when our books are in place, our curriculum is in place, the lesson plans is in place, we are so much into tuning the annual planner, which month, which topic, and so many things that we all plan for. What is the question? What are we planning for? Creating that environment, creating the classroom culture is a time that I wish to bring your attention to, so that we take some time to look into these aspects, because we don't get so much time when we get busy in the routine of the day-to-day mundane. And so it is really important that we begin the year by having some of these ideas in place. So sense of belonging, perfect thing is to get to the admin, go to the admin or the administration department, or wherever you can get, fetch the name of the children, get some of the information. There is an admission form which every school takes in. So read out that form, know about the parents, know about where they stay, and get a connect. Also, it is very important, to pronounce the name of your children the correct way. It's a very good idea. On the first day itself, you pronounce it and you ask for it. You ask that, is this the way your parents call you? Right? Some of the names may be too long, too short, right? And nowadays that we have got all the fancy names in place, right? So it is very important, as a teacher, we take care of these. We have been sensitive to these things, and this is very much welcomed by the children. They feel really that teacher is taking an effort by really understanding how my name is being pronounced, what my parents call me in the house. Okay, so they feel the sense of belonging when the teachers know the entire class. So first day of the school, and you know all the names and the children, perfect. That's like absolutely you have got in, and you plan. I think first day we all plan some of the wonderful activities to connect. So that would be the objective on the first day or initial days, just to make a connect with the children. First is by name, having an activity or doing some kind of a team building exercise in with your class. It creates an atmosphere. That's first thing, that they feel that they belong to it. So they don't want to really go to their parents and say, oh mammy, please kind you change my division, and then there is a email coming to your principal or the admin, and they are asking for the shift to happen. I'm sure if you are able to connect with the children, these things may not happen to a certain extent. Physical and mental safety, go check your classroom. Is everything in place? Are there some, I mean, sharp edges in the classroom? How is the wall? How is the ceiling? How is the washroom? Are the everything in place? Your laboratories, your the classroom, the corridors, the play areas, are they all safe physically for your children? As a teacher, all the teachers, if you, even if you are not a class teacher, a teacher needs to be aware about all the places that the children go, right? And we ensure that our checklist for the physical safety is in place. And that is one aspect. Then there is a mental safety, where we really want every child to feel safe and secure, and they are not being bullied by anybody in the classroom, including the principal, including the teacher, or the PT teacher, or the PE teacher, or the arts teacher, or maybe the dancer, or whatever it could be. Mental safety is something which is very important for the children. Okay, so we look into that aspect of mental safety. We create a culture and atmosphere where child feels very safe. They feel that okay, there is no threat, nobody's threatening, nobody's kind of bullying, or there is no dominance, or even that culture of teacher asking a question and there are only one or two children in the classroom who would always go up and give the answers. So that is not an ideal classroom where you would have only few children. So then there is a kind of a caste system, I would say. These are my top rankers, these are my average, and the worst thing that teacher can do is ask children, okay, everybody above 90%, please stand up. Everybody in that, you cannot grade the children. One thing that I've learned in my experience in education field is that every child can learn. Every child has a potential. That is a fundamental belief. Every education is, every teacher needs to have that. Every child can learn with understanding and can excel in academics. That is a fundamental belief that we all need to carry. It is never a good idea to just take the scores from the last year, and then we give them these labels, and for the rest of their life these labels are carried forward, saying that I am an average child, or I am always been below average, or I am the one who would always excel and be the favorite for the teacher. No, this is not the ideal classroom culture that we want to look into. Rules and procedures, as we just said, set of processes and follow them. And during the transition time, especially, that is, I've just listed down so that I don't forget that, because the most time, the best time for the children is where the teacher is not in the classroom. Correct. So when the teacher is going to come, or after the assembly, when they come to the classrooms, or in the break time or the recess, these are the time where they don't know what to do. Okay, and sometimes it is good that they should not be knowing what to do, because you cannot just helicopter them all the time. But with the freedom, they call it freedom with fences, but they should know their limits. What is the correct way? What is the procedures my teacher is expecting? How am I supposed to be? Is it allowed for me to eat my tiffin in some other classroom, or with a friend in the basketball court? Is this a rule of the school? The teacher needs to set these rules in place. First, we need to understand what are we expecting from the children, and then we share this with the children, and together we kind of formulate and say that, can we agree on certain ground rules before we begin the academic year? And that would be great to set up a positive classroom culture. So rules and procedures, the teacher needs to know and the children needs to know, right? So that they follow, and everybody, all the teachers, subject teachers, and everybody know that, oh, this classroom of Miss Mary, these are the protocols that's there, and everybody is so to for those kind of rules and procedures, that this classroom, I would love to be a subject teacher in that classrooms, because the classroom culture has been set so well, and things are such clear and crisp, and so it's so systematic that I really wish to be in that particular classroom. And same thing goes with the children as well. Every child wants to be in that classroom because it's so clearly defined. Affection, now these are again intangible or abstract things. What kind of freedom are you giving to the children? Do we have a protocol for the setting arrangement? And these are very important, right from your kindergarten to your primary grades to your middle school. Even, I'm telling you, even for the secondary section, if a teacher kind of talks to the children and set up a setting arrangement, that's fantastic. Slowly and gradually we feel that all these things are only for primary grades, or it will work only till 1 to 5, class 1 to 5, and grade 6 beyond, they may not be interested to know that. I'm sorry, you would be wrong if you have a judgment of such nature. But children do love to kind of get be involved in whatever decision that the teacher takes in with the class, and everybody is known about it, everybody is aware about it. Children really like that. So sitting arrangement, how are we going to create that? Are we having a cluster form, like children sitting in groups of 4 or groups of 6, or somewhere you have a row system or a column? You would have the infrastructural challenges. If you want to accommodate 30 children, 40 children in the classroom, it would be very less that you can do with the kind of sitting arrangement. But sometimes it's a good idea just to make these kind of little informal sitting arrangements, like when we go to the conferences and you have like cluster of 5 people on a bench, then you have like three in a group or two in a group. And while we were doing this in the classroom, I saw teachers do this by having the groups like an activity. Everybody stands up and they quickly form a group of 3. Then all three kind of they all come together, and then there are some people who are left with. Then you create a group of 4, group of 5, and these kind of combinations that you make, and then say they freeze. Now we are going to have a maths class. Now we are going to have this class, and this is the group that you would be following for this particular, maybe a day or a week or whatever, depending on the situation. So having these dynamism really adds flavor. They will say that, oh, Miss Gauri, she would always do this kind of arrangements. Oh, we love her class because the kind of rotations that happens, or the kind of houses, sometimes it is distinction based on the houses, the color code. Sometimes it is the gender. Sometimes it could be different aspects. I mean, gender, we really don't want to get into the biasness of the gender, but these are all some differentiating factors. But then we say that, oh, these are some of the parameters that we can group and separate individuals. But there is no kind of supremacy that we want to really bring into this picture, or no speciality, but we are just telling these are different ways of grouping and regrouping, but the objective remains always the same. Getting the partners, having, if you have the bench arrangement where 2 children sits together, all these things create bond with the class teacher. You being there during the recess, during the breaks, creates a different effect, the affection in the classroom. When that what kind of tiffin my children bring to the class. So it really helps when you are in the PTMs, when you're talking with the parents, you're talking about the child development. These are all aspects, to know what time they sleep, what time they get up, what is their routine like, what do they like to eat. All these things adds up to that kind of connectivity and belonging that you would have, the kind of synergy that you would create for your class. And then it's all set of memories that you would be having. So whether it be teachers day or a principal's day or any green day, earth day, the children themselves, you need not have to write that, mention everything in the notes or instruct them, but then things becomes natural for the children. And this is how when we look at our own classroom memories, we may not remember all the annual days or all the sports days or all these events, because these memories are not created artificially. These get stuck in the memory by choice. And if the atmosphere is very good, we carry a lot of these good memories. And this is exactly what we want to give to our children. Every child coming to the school needs to get these amazing, beautiful memories they can take back. And one of the really kind of a bonus thing before we end the discussion is that one assurity that you as a teachers you can give to the children as a culture is that no task will be without a purpose. So there is nothing which is rudimentary or just for the sake of doing. The teacher will do that. So that assurity kind of it worked with me. So just an idea that I want to just share, that have that confidence. The children will also be very confident to know that my teacher never gives a task which is without a goal or without a purpose or without thinking about their development in those aspects. So that's how we would just summarize the classroom culture. And if there is any question, we can take that, or we end before we end the session. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sahil. If you can stop sharing your screen so we can have a better view of you, please. Thank you. Okay. As no participants are there, like I will ask the questions prepared by me. You have pretty much covered everything, Mr. Sahil. Still, so what inspired you to focus on the topic of creating a classroom culture, sir?
One of the very thing that I see that well-being is something that is a buzzword in today's time, where more than the academics, what really children need is kind of a social environment. I think that's the one thing, because families are very busy, husband, wife, everybody's going for a job, and children are sent to school. So there is a little missing of this element where children are unable to connect with their parents. And if the same thing happens in the school, where if they are not able to connect with the counselor or the teacher, I mean, then we are making them deprived of a very important aspect, which is the social aspect. So that is something I just wanted to highlight before we set in the academics and other things in place. This is very, very important aspects to have for a child's development.
Right. So, can you share? You have already explained with so many examples. Can you share one specific example of a classroom culture you have successfully implemented?
All right. So I think the things that we have mentioned, one thing was very clear. I would just give an incident where it was grade 9. Two boys, they were kind of fighting, and it just happened to become a little physical when there was little pushes and all. And I just entered the classroom, and then as a typical case, it would happen that both of them would come in and say that, see, somebody has done it. No, he pushed me and I pushed him. So one thing I told them is as like, what my objective would be, that you still be friends. I think you were friends initially, and as a classmates at least. So if I give a verdict, if I just try to be very knowledgeable and be the authority in the room and give kind of a verdict that, you are the one who have harmed and you should be saying the sorry, I can very well do that. And every teacher can very well do that. But instead of doing that, I said, I really want you to be friends. you know Things do happen, you may fight up, you may push each other, but that should not impact your friendship that you already have, right? So I think it is better you talk it out, and if you need any help from my end, I would intervene. But I just left them, and you see that they come back to uh, their friendship that they already had. So I think we need not take the authority all the time, although we as leaders, we can really mitigate them, we can speak to them, the children, but kind of develop a culture where things needs to be done naturally, rather than we enforcing things in place. So I think that is one of the examples that I can share of, and there are many more examples, but I think looking at the time, I would restrict to one.
Right. Great, sir. So you made them independent in making a decision for themselves. So
Correct, yeah.
really nice to know. So children are come from different cultural backgrounds. Like it's a mix of all the cultures in one particular classroom. So how do you address these diverse cultural backgrounds in creating an inclusive classroom culture?
I think that's an excellent question, because you see, India, we have very diverse children. Some children bringing non-vegetarian food, some may not like it, some are Jains. So these are some of the things, and there are also conditioning which parents do at times. Uh, so what we have done, I would say that, one day when the academic year begins, one of the Fridays, we ask them to bring, we ask them to dress as per their culture, or as per their native place which they belong to. They can dress, they can bring that food item, okay, and they can be very well, be the authentic self of their cultural. So they can bring the clothes or something, some eatable, let's say khakra if you are from Gujarat, or maybe you get the dal bati from Rajasthan, or you get shirkurma. or whatever it could be, one day that we plan it out, and then we discuss it out that these are something that we really need to cherish. So instead of having the seeing that as a difference, I am a vegetarian or he may not be, or he or she is a non-vegetarian, we kind of celebrate that. We say that, oh, that is the way they live and this is the way I live, but then I cannot overpower somebody's decision or kind of interfere. But then we have our own limits, but then we appreciate the way people are and the diverse culture, the fabric of our country. I think that's the real secularism. We can really teach our children in a very niche and initial stage. So I think these are some events that we do, wherein they are appreciative of each other, the diversity or the cultural aspect, and then they cherish it more than they reject it or are little complacent about it. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It encourages the mutual respect towards each other and each culture.
True.
So that's really well explained, sir. So challenges are part of our lives, like be it by profession or in life or anything. So what are some common challenges teachers face, or rather you faced, when trying to build a positive classroom culture? It might be a small one, it might be a big one. How do you express that, sir?
I think, yeah. So see, challenges, see, whenever there is a fixed mindset, whether it be a teacher who could have that, a child could have that, or maybe conditioned, because children, they are all in the stage of development, so we really cannot blame it to the child, but somewhere they are learning it from the families, from the news, from maybe different sources. We really don't know. Internet is a big, social media is a big time thing where anything can crop up, and it becomes like a big thing. So yeah, we in terms of challenges, I think somebody writing something on the question paper, we have that as a challenge. Somebody would write something on the top of the question paper or the answer sheet, or in somebody else's book. That becomes a little bigger issue to take care of. But these are some of the things which are ingrained, sometimes encouraged by the teacher or a parent. But then we look at it from a very secular point of view when we say that, oh, you know what, the belief we do is on our hard work, and what we really study and take care. I think that is where we should be very strong in our abilities to harness, to really magnify our own abilities and not be dependent on some other aspects or some other kind of inhibitions or kind of superstition or whatever it could be. But then it is very sensitive thing. We really need to make children kind of, first thing is acceptability. We just cannot be fighting out these things. Let's say somebody writes something on the question paper or an answer sheet. First thing, as a teacher, I would accept that. I would say that this is okay that you have done, but then you talk it out. You talk, maybe if you require, you get into the counseling session, or maybe speak to the parent and say that, okay, these are some of the aspects we maybe have faith or belief in. But with children, we really need to tell them that we need to have rationals in place, so that they don't give excuses, or they don't kind of get into that domain wherein they are kind of running around from the realities, but to have some pragmatic thinking behind these stuff. So yeah, culturally, these things do come in place, and with culture, it is all that you need is patience and time.
Yes, sir.
Nothing can happen in a day or two. Yeah.
At the end of the day, hard work pays, and the practice,
Correct, correct. Yeah.
right? So I think you have answered my next question to how do you, what do you recommend for involving parents and the community in creating a classroom culture? I'll skip to the next question, sir. So, because lack of time, how can teachers ensure that the classroom culture is sustained throughout the academic year?
Yes, I think sustenance is something, when you make like a classroom charter, when
Yeah.
you when you kind of document it. I think this is where sustenance would come from. Wherein it is very easy for you to basically get the children involved, write the do's, don'ts, write a charter in place, the objective of the classroom in the initial days. It is very what you would say, it's very motivating and very interesting. But then to sustain it, what we nearly can do is that we create some kind of a policy, some kind of procedures. That's what I mentioned, a routine and procedures, so that we have a check, a weekly check, a monthly check, to ensure that these things are in place. And one of the very good ideas that I liked was that a teacher, or the class writes, and they just document a charter, a preamble kind of a thing, and every child in the classroom signs it. So it's kind of, again, a belonging, a sense of belonging, that I have read this, I've understood, and I'm signing this off, which means that I'm going to abide by what the document says and what the rules as a class, as a team, that we all have penned down to. So this is very interesting. And then we see that children, remind the teacher or the fellow classmates that, oh, point number 3, I think we are infringing that law and something. So these becomes very sustainable things.
That's nice, sir. Thank you for the talk and patiently answering all the questions. I know you have covered everything, but those were repetitive. Since again, like I have asked you, you patiently answered all the questions. We also thank whoever will access the recording, or like whoever wanted to and couldn't attend the session. I request all the participants to have a look at it on our YouTube channel once we upload it. So with this, I will end the event, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm very grateful to school reformers. And I think that's an excellent work that the team is doing. Thank you so much.